And I was there when they signed the great boycotts, the great contracts in the late 60s. When Caesar walked into the room with all the grape growers and they sat down for one peaceful moment and signed the contracts. I was with the farm workers during the lettuce strike, during a whole number of, I was there for 5 years. And so I just want to leave you with one quote that I think is something that we need to keep in mind and something that brings us continued hope. Chavez said the following: once social change begins, it cannot be reversed. You cannot uneducate the person who has learned to read. You cannot humiliate the person who feels pride. You cannot oppress the people who are not afraid anymore. We have seen the future, and the future is ours. Si se puede. Thank you.
So I think we have a minute for a couple of questions. Any comments or questions? Jane.
Ernie, thank you very much. That was absolutely wonderful. I have a plea that when you start at the county level, getting your organization up and running with your outreach groups and trying to train folks, that you ask those folks to reach out to our community too. I know I told you last night that in Santa Clara County we hadn't hooked up yet, and I would really like to tell the people in this room, if your advisory committees, to reach out to that organization, to Ernie's senior organization, to AARP in your counties, and that AARP reaches out to us. Because I think that we really need, as you said, working together is huge.
Well said. I think somebody's typing. Am I getting that right? Okay, could you take my email address? E-P-O-W-E-L-L. Doesn't need to be in cap. No, P-O-W. Here. P-O-W. She's still not getting it right. Anyway, it's E-P-O-W-E-L-L. There you go. At AARP.org. There's no dot after the L. E-Powell at AARP.org. Point well taken. We will do that. You should be in on the design of this stuff, some of it. And that's good thinking. Gentleman over here.
Yep, Mike's coming.
Good morning, Will Scott, Alameda County.
How do you do, sir?
How are you? With the Public Authorities Advisory Board, and I'm also a provider as well. I like the fact that you mentioned about when these legislators make these kind of moves in Sacramento, that somehow that information be delivered, then that way I, like myself, can get that information out to others, okay? So if there's any way that you know of where we can retrieve that information through a source, please make it available, because I myself personally will make others aware that somebody's not doing their job.
Well, I think there's two ways to do it. I mean literally, Facebook is that mechanism. If we could have a Facebook page, and we're working on this, either say by region or by assembly or state senate district, it could be an activist Facebook page that communicates this kind of stuff. I mean, and Marty's newsletter, which is just, I mean, everybody in Sacramento and over 50,000 of us in California depend on it. It could broaden that kind of information. It could also announce meetings. It could also announce legislative alerts and that sort of thing. So we've got, I mean, the mechanics of it, it's a lot different than it used to be. I mean, there are some, we have to work out the mechanics, but we're gonna have people that just that watch the health committee all day, that watch the budget committee all day, in addition to a floor captain system. But I have to stress that the strength is not only in the Capitol. The strength has to be in the district as well. So I'm suggesting to you that, you know, I mean, I saw a lot of hands go up for Facebook. I use it socially, and I also use it sort of as a personal blog on key issues. But we can organize it as an organization at no cost, and do it on a district by district basis, and then work it that way. You had your hand up? Say again?
We need a mic, please. 1 minute.
How would I add you on Facebook and Twitter?
It's Ernie. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you in a second. Yes, sir.
Paul Lehman, Fresno, and there are a number of issues at the federal level that need to be addressed. Among the most important are the casualty attitude of the legislators about increasing their own pay, but saying, well, you have not had a change in living standard at the grassroots, and therefore you do not deserve an increase in your Social Security allotment. That's a little strange, given the fact that they almost annually increase their salary 2, 3, 4, 5, 6% or more.
Point well taken. Point well taken. But you know, you said Fresno. I want to bring something up. I want to bring something up about Fresno, because last week we spent some time on an issue that you guys need to pay a lot of attention to. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but on September 28th, the Board of Supervisors for the County of Fresno eliminated 114 voting precincts. Just wiped them out. It saved them they said they did that in order to save something like $200,000. And let's see, that was September 28th. Sometime last weekend, I got an email from some activists in Fresno, with SEIU actually, because they eliminated these precincts even after, in some cases, they mailed out the sample ballots announcing those locations. And the group that I saw and was talking to scrambled really quickly and got a law firm involved in this, Olson Hagel in Sacramento, that does election law and that sort of thing. And they literally threatened them with a lawsuit because they looked at this at the Board of Supervisors resolution and found 2 violations in law. One of them being is that no precinct can have more than, I think it's 1,000 or maybe 1,500 voters. And the second one was you can't reduce the number of precincts between a primary and a general election. And they literally violated those 2 very specific election law standards. Here's my point. We've done absentee balloting in the past, and it's very much the trend currently. But one of the things that we need to pay attention to, because it's another victim of budget cuts, is voting opportunity. And they are literally stealing our civil rights by consolidating precincts and making it tougher for people to get to their voting location. I lived in Koreatown in Los Angeles before I came up to Sacramento. I remember that there was a moment during the mayoral election in 2003 when in my precinct, my voting booths were a block and a half away from me in a senior citizen complex on Wilshire and Normandy. And it was a very easy walk for me, but the best part about it was in a 10-story senior high-rise, so everybody in that building could just go downstairs and vote. The day of the election, I walked down there, and in literally a sign about this big, in handwriting, it said, precinct location changed to Shattuck Avenue. Shattuck Avenue was about 1.5 miles away. So those folks in wheelchairs and up on the, and older folks never got an official notice about this, and they had closed this precinct and moved it. And the travesty that I just reported on in Fresno is symptomatic of that point. They're going to start cutting the number of precincts and counties because of budget cuts. And that is, there are standards at the state level. One of the things we did when we heard about this Fresno thing, and we, frankly, everybody else acted faster than we could. We just sort of watched from the sidelines. We called Senate Elections Committee and talked to them, and they already were on it. And in fact, they're the ones that told us about the fact that there was a lawsuit that could have been pending. What they did was they went to the county and said, we're going to file this lawsuit. We're going to restrain you from closing these precincts. And so they sat down and negotiated and got a bunch of mitigation, such as mailing ballots to all those voters and better public service announcements, et cetera, et cetera. But that's something you got to watch very closely, because the worst thing that could happen is that we set up these opportunities where there's real competition in the districts, and then you lose your voting location. I mean, my friend Gregory Rodriguez, who writes in the LA Times, a few weeks ago, just for the heck of it, wrote about the wonderful tradition of voting that we used to have, where it was a very celebratory day and where people would gather and vote together, and it was a big, fun day in the life of a democracy. That tradition has sort of been eviscerated, but bottom line is the reduction of precincts and the closing of voting locations hurts our ability to execute our franchise. That's something we got to watch, and we got to start watching it now, not for this election. This election's almost over, but to make sure that it doesn't happen in 2012, because killing turnout is a way to keep incumbents in office. Thank you.
Hold on 1 second. Let me see how we're doing on time. Yeah, and what time do we finish?
10.
Oh,
10?
okay, so let's do one more question and then we're done.
Yes,
We're 20
yes, ma'am.
minutes over.
Where is it?
I don't have a question, but I have made it a habit. I've got a few years more than 50 on it, and I give everybody that I know that's turning 50 a gift on their birthday of AARP membership.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a form of giving a gift and spreading the word.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ernie. That
Thank
was
you all.
really excellent.
Would you like to make a
Wasn't that a powerful, powerful speech? As all of our speakers have been, and as a systems change advocate from the CFLC Systems Change Network, I have attended my share of conferences, as I'm sure a lot of people have. But I think that this conference has just been packed with the best speakers, time after time. Jessica Rothar, Marty Omoto, Ernie Powell. I think we need to really appreciate that they come here and tell us what it is we need to know. And we're very lucky to have them all. Even though we're a little bit behind, I am going to do a little side announcement from COO, because they asked me to. They held a raffle for money, and there is a winner. In fact, there are 3 winners.
All right.
So let me announce them. And if somebody could take this to them for me, that would be great. Oh, the money's in here too.